Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coaches Show here on Hornet Radio. My name is Caleb Ramos, and last week we took a look into the past with basketball players Addie and JD to reflect on their time here at Fullerton College. This week, however, we do the opposite. We take a look into the future as we have an interview with a football player in the middle of the spring ball season, and we have an update on the softball season. Now, let's head out to Ryan Osborne, who is on the football field with Hayden Frazier.
So we're here with Hayden Frazier. Hayden, as an offensive lineman, what do you find to be the most difficult part of your job?
I would say we have to be the leaders on the field and off the field. We always got to make sure our guys are protected on the field, and we're just always rallying to the ball, and we got to be nasty in what we do.
What is your specific part of the line that you enjoy the most?
So I play more center guard, and I would say I like the more interior offensive line. Just allows me to use my strength and my power more and really dominate guys in the trenches.
You mentioned that a lot of times we hear about that first punch. If you're able to get to that first punch, you're always going to have that leverage and that extra step on someone. How do you practice getting quicker to get to that first punch?
Yeah, honestly, just repetition. The more punches you can get, you'll be more familiar with it and you'll get quicker with it. So just really repping it out.
When you're first starting out at center, is it a difficult transition to learn to snap the ball and then also get up as quickly as possible?
Yes, definitely. Snapping it and then get into those big interior defensive linemen is definitely a challenge, as well as you have to be the leader of the O-line, so you're making all the calls and calling out the fronts, and so it's definitely a tough position for sure.
Now, I'm sure you want to hear more from both Ryan and Hayden, but let's take a break from that interview really fast and head into the softball recap, which is also done by Ryan, as it so happens, so you will get to hear more from him right about now.
Fullerton College softball is on their way to what could be another postseason appearance as the Hornets are one game out of third place in the Orange Empire Conference. FC currently trails Golden West with an 8-8 record, while the Hornets are looking at the Rustlers sitting at 9-7. If you look at the team leaders so far, the Hornets are being led by an outstanding group of athletes that are vying for top spots in the conference and state. Now, the pitching staff for Fullerton last year was led by a very veteran group at the college level. This year has been a different story, though. The Hornets have been primarily led by Grace Workman, who has 33 appearances so far this season in the circle with a 4.27 ERA. Workman has also been heating up recently as well, as she's only given up 13 runs over her last 35 innings pitched. She's also given the Hornets a lot of room to work with in order to get Fullerton their best chance at a win each time she goes out. The pitching staff as a whole is floating around a 4.3 ERA, which isn't the best it's been in most recent years, but it is certainly more than enough to keep Fullerton in a spot to grab wins. Added to that is the reminder, however, that this team is being led by a very freshman-heavy core. All three of their pitchers, if you look at the stats, had no prior in-game experience at the college level before this season. You switch things over to the hitting aspect of things. If you remember a few weeks ago, we went through Veronica Moore's season and how she was doing on her chase to break the RBI record for Fullerton College in a single season. The update to that is not only has she broken the career record and single season record, but she continues to put up RBI at an impressive rate. Moore is having a phenomenal season at this point, 448, slugging at over 800, an on-base percentage of over 520 with 6 home runs, 17 doubles, and an eye-opening 43 RBI. Her 43 runs batted in places her at a tie for 9th best in the entire 3C2A, while her doubles, with 17, are in a tie for 2nd best in California. Moore is currently leading the OEC in RBI, batting average, home runs, and on-base percentage as well, a clean sweep in all of those categories. Fullerton as a whole is sitting about middle of the pack in the hitting department, as they are fourth in conference with a batting average of .298, an on-base percentage of .379 as well. However, where the Hornets have shined is in the strikeout category. Fullerton only has 10 strikeouts, and that is good enough to be second in the conference, right behind Golden West. When you look at Fullerton and how they are faring to this point, this last weekend, the Hornets have been on a roll. They faced LA Mission and Saddleback 4 different games across the weekend and weekdays. This couldn't have come at a better time as Fullerton is trying to win their final few matchups going into the SoCal Regionals. The Hornets have won 5 of their last 6 and are looking to finish with a sweep over Saddleback while moving into the postseason with momentum. If you talk to most people around community college softball, which we have in the last few days, they will tell you that almost everyone expects the Hornets to be in the playoffs in some capacity. Whether that's the play-in or the regionals, we will find out. But right now, the Hornets are currently sitting at a .500 win percentage in conference, but a 15-21 record overall at the time of this recording. Where they are getting a significant amount of help, however, is in the RPI category. They are currently sitting in a top 10 spot in Southern California, and the Hornets are sitting above teams with very impressive resumes and records like Citrus and Ventura, who are 22-15 and 28-5, respectively. Which brings you to the OEC standings at this current moment. Orange Coast currently sits in first atop the conference. However, they are close with the Cypress Chargers, who are sitting at just a game behind. Fullerton is once again fighting their way into the top 3 into the conference, but they need a little help from Cypress as they need a loss from the Rustlers. Now, next week, we're going to have an entire show dedicated to the Hornets and Southern California softball overall, what to look forward to, which teams to watch, and what the brackets and regionals will look like as well. That's going to do it for our softball update. Let's send it back to the studio with Caleb.
Thank you, Ryan, for that softball season update, and I want to wish the Hornets luck as they make their playoff push. Now, let's head back to past Ryan to finish up his interview with Fullerton College offensive lineman Hayden Frazier.
You mentioned that a lot of communication has to go between your center and your quarterback. When you're calling out those fronts, what's the first thing that you're looking for in terms of a sign to give to your quarterback?
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the linebackers and I'm looking at the D-line. I'll see if they're in a 40 queen or a 40 jack or maybe they're in an odd or okie. So just identifying that front first.
You mentioned that. What is one thing that someone who isn't familiar with those terms that you just mentioned, I know what you're talking about, but for the person at home, what can you say is the number one indicator that you can find out from a linebacker that tells you what formation they're in?
So what they call it the box. If the linebacker's close to the line of scrimmage and he's within the tackles, he's in the box, so that's what we're looking for.
Now, when you look at Fullerton College, obviously they have a very good reputation of developing offensive linemen, especially with a lot of all-conference guys recently. What are you learning the most from your coaching staff to improve on this season?
Well, yeah, we recently got new offensive line coaches, and I definitely would say just the level of competition and just wanting to get after it every single day and just improving and becoming better.
What made you choose Fullerton College?
It's a family over here. Fullerton College. Oh, I gotta take my helmet off.
Go ahead.
But it's a family over here. I mean, you can hear it in the background. The coaches, I mean, they're all really tight with us, and so I really like it here. I think it's a family for sure.
What is one thing you want to improve on the most going from spring practice into the actual fall ball?
Just spring practice, you got to get familiar with the speed of the game and the tempo. And so as we rep through more team reps and whatnot, you start to slow the game down and see things that you weren't picking up before. So just slowing the game down, I would say.
You mentioned slowing the game down. Making sure that you're able to go and watch film is a big time transition a lot of high schoolers don't have when going into college. How did you introduce that to yourself?
Really, it's just how much film is needed. I mean, if you're going out there and you don't know what you don't know tendencies, you don't know what the D-line might do in front of you, you're just kind of guessing. So film's definitely huge to get that one up on your opponent for sure.
Thank you very much, Hayden.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Hayden, for joining us here on the Coaches Show. And another thanks to the Fullerton College football coaching staff for allowing us to conduct an interview with them as they get ready for their spring ball season. Don't forget to check out the Hornet Radio Spotify account if you want to hear the full length of the interview, as well as a Coach of the Week interview and a recap of the top 3 games in Fullerton College sports this past week. Additionally, check out the Hornet Radio Instagram page for a weekly preview of all the games happening at Fullerton College for that week. Lastly, if you are interested in the softball season update that Ryan did earlier this episode, be sure to tune in next week where we are going to have a full playoff preview for softball in both the OEC and the 3C2A. I'm Caleb Ramos for my co-host Ryan Osborne, and a special thanks to Becky Nguyen for all of the camera work and editing. Thank you for watching, and this has been the Coaches Show on Hornet Radio.